That some of you guys had a chance to come down to Temecula and San Diego, where my dad had asked if I would do a couple meetings for his organization, who hadn't been having some of this information kind of peppered out to them over the past couple months. I mean, a lot of you guys, this didn't just come out of nowhere. It's been coming out slowly, but that's how my dad encouraged me to begin to share it. Because, if you just come out with something that's completely different and one day, the whole thing, it can create confusion. It sounds like, and Trevor, why didn't you start telling us earlier? Well, when you have a humongous organization and there's hundreds and hundreds of people, you'll know exactly why. You don't just come up with some new idea and then just explode it the first day you hear it. That's kind of a sign of immaturity. That's something that I used to do, and it's funny that it's so funny because Dean and Marcy Whalen, their seminar that I let you guys all listen to, just came out, but they're just in the throes of going diamond. So it's funny, a lot of stuff they talked about, I'm so relating to, like how you'd go to a function and then at that function you'd hear something and you'd be like, that's the secret. And if you change your whole thing and then you do that for 3 months and then the next function would come around and you're like, that's what we need to do. And then you switch everything, and so you never really get traction because every 3 months a new speaker comes in, gives you a new little spin, and you change everything. And so, that's why, when I heard about this at Taste of Diamond, and over the last couple months, 6 months, 7, 8 months, learning about it, because, obviously, this is something that Dean and Marcy Whalen have really embraced, and the Wagners up there, but really Dean and Marcy Whalen have really kind of perfected this process for the most part. But then what's really funny about it is my dad, knowing that, I was talking with him about it, talked with Brad Duncan about it, and Brad goes, oh man, when we were exploding, we didn't call it the process. We didn't have called names for things, but we did exactly that. We qualified people before we want to sit down and show them the plan. And he goes, so man, my dad, because we're not down line from Brad Duncan, and we're not down line from Dean Marcy Whalen, and so we can't counsel with them. So I would hear, at like spring leadership, I'd get Dean Whalen in the corner for a minute, and I'd hear a little. I'm going, what was that? And then I'd hear him a little bit talking to somebody else. I'm going, something's different here, and so I kind of started hearing these things and starting to all put it together, then getting a chance to go to Taste of Diamond, which is that's why you want to be at these places like Taste of Diamond and moving up weekend, where you get a chance to get around the guys that are just kicking butt, the guys and gals, the couples that are just moving on in a major way, because that's really where iron begins to really sharpen iron. I feel that at this last Taste of Diamond, just for myself, even though Lexi wasn't there because we just had the babies, it was probably the most impactful Taste of Diamond weekend I've ever been to, because I really had a lot of one-on-one time with Dean and Marcy to really learn this there and at FED's, because they came and spent a couple hours on my parents' yacht after spring leadership, FED. And so, really excited to share this with you guys. And you guys, I'm telling you, it is working so unbelievably well. I mean, we have recordings. Did you guys get the link, the text? If you don't get my text, just let me know and I'll make sure you get them. But I just sent them out, and I sat there and I listened to them, and I'm sitting there going, and Kent helped me not edit them, but help me cut them up into, one track is going to be what we do in Meet and Greet 1, second track is Meet and Greet 2, third track Meet and Greet, that kind of a thing. I think it says it on there. But I'm sitting there listening to it and I go, dang, I talk fast. And y'all are laughing because you know. And you were never going to say anything, So I'm working on this. I told Lexi, I've got to be more coherent. Because there was come in, there was words. There was we were listening to it, and there was words that I would say that would be 3 words, but it was so fast it was 1. And we're how do we edit this? And how do we I was okay, that's a bunch of crap right there, So I've got to talk slower and more coherent. And my self-image now can handle the fact that I need to change. Okay? Thank goodness for 7 years of books. But anyway, guys, totally excited. So what I guess I'll do, and I did it on this recording, is basically just kind of go through each step of the process. We obviously don't need to talk about board plan, right? Or board plan 1 or board plan 2, because board plan 1 and board plan 2 are board plans. That's where you're going to have your upline, whether it be me or if you're downline for Jason Allison, maybe when the team gets big enough, you understand, you may not always come to a board plan that I do, right? I want you to be fired up about that. And that's because there's new leaders developing themselves, new leaders stepping up. So when this, Jason Allison Montana's team gets large enough where, we've identified an identifiable taproot, a leg that we're going to be working in and focusing our time on, because it just gets too big, we won't fit in houses anymore. then I'll be working with that one leg directly, and then Jason will be working, doing board plans for each of his individual legs, just like you guys know that I do for each of my individual legs. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. You know, like when I do a meeting for Ross and Sherry, Jason Alsimontano's leg's not there, or Gina Dustin's leg's not there, and then when I do one for Gina Dustin, they're not there because they became big enough to where we can't fit in one house anymore. And that's, you know, what's great about this process, I think, more than anything, because before, the only time you'd really begin to develop leadership would be if you were up on the board. Right? You would not really be a leader until you were up on the board, really. And so this process, though, with the Meet and Greet 1 and Meet and Greet 2, is going to help you begin to build your influence so that you're developing your leadership before you're ever on the board. So that by the time your team gets large enough, your upline identifies the one tap root leg they're going to be working in your organization. Basically, you should be thanking them for that, by the way. A lot of times people go, you want to work with my most excited leg? Guys, if you understand this business, that should fire you up. Because they're taking all the time, all the money, all the resources, and working on the leg that's growing the fastest. And you know what that gives you the time to do? A lot of people get all weird about that. Like, I want to work in the most excited leg. Well, you go good. Go ahead. Go spend all your time in the most excited leg and be one-legged and make me a lot of money. The point of an upline identifying your most excited leg and working with that leg for you is so that it frees up your time to go work with the other ones. Right? It frees up your time to go build leg 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so you can be a diamond. Right? Does that make sense? But so I want everybody to begin to grasp this because it is awesome. But I'm not going to talk about board plans. But we all know, you know, the process is pretty simple. And I know that the first time you've heard the terminology Meet and Greet 1 and Meet and Greet 2 was either if you were at Redlands or the communicate messages I sent out. Right, talking about. I mean, that also, you know, I've been wanting to. That's what the Canadians have called it forever. But just wanted to make sure with worldwide that that's not going to be changed. Just so it's a unified. You know, I guess what you call each meeting, right? So we want to make sure we're on the same page. So once we make that, you know, like it's another one of those things. You don't just come up with a new idea and throw it into your group instantly. Because, like, I'll give you an example. Brad and Julie Duncan back in the day. You see, the thing is, as long as you're coachable, you can learn a lot of stuff and avoid a lot of misery. Brad and Julie Duncan, they used to one time when they were built, their organization was exploding, and they thought, you know, what would be the best thing to go on the PDFs on the worldwide site and print out everything. And put it into a binder, like a 3-ring binder, and give them a binder with like their LOS and like everything. You know, it's like, and they gave it to this. Their organization became so huge that it became a full-time job putting together these dumb binders, right? And so it sounds good when there's just like one person in the group, but you know, when there's a lot, it's like, dude, you know. So that's why, guys, understand, the bigger you get in the business, the greater risk. Guys, it's not just you. It's like now that I have babies, it's not just me and Lexi. You know, I mean, if something radical happened before we got involved in this business, I mean, we could have slept in our car, but now we have twin babies, so we make more thought-through decisions now. Because it's not just affecting two adults that can like live in their car and be fine with it, you know, which nobody would want to do that, but we could, right? If everything, you know, back in the day if we knew this business existed, lost our house, you know, we could have. But then you start making decisions differently because you know it's not just affecting your life, it's affecting other people's lives. And so the larger your organization becomes, the more important it is that you're more tied in, locked in, and the more communication that you're in is so critical. So here we go. We obviously know the process is, you know, I was going to call it Meet and Greet 1, and then Meet and Greet 2. And this is what I'm going to spend a lot of my time talking about tonight, because people go, how do I start this process, and how do I get this going? Now, believe me, you can do it the old way, not the old way, the way that I went platinum doing, the way that we went double eagle ruby doing. But I'm just going to share with you, the way that I'm going to share with you guys today, is probably in my 7 years in business, the most effective way to get somebody started through this process, the most effective way to imprint on these people's mentality, the way they should be thinking going through this process. It's the best thing I've ever done. I mean, and I've done it for 2.5, 3 months now. It's the best thing I've ever done in this business, is implementing these 2 first steps. But the fact is, the greatest process never used is worthless, right? So you actually have to do it. But I'm going to promise you, as your coach, that if you guys begin to implement this stuff and you get out there and get to work, get busy, and start just cranking this thing, man, 2 to 5 years, head down, mentally all in for 5 years, no mental breaks. I'm telling you, you guys are all going to be so stinking rich in the next 5 years. We're going to have 10, 15,000 people come into functions. Brad Duncan put 70,000 people in his business in 7 years. They were adding 1,000 people a month. 1,000 registrations a month were happening in their organization for like 7 years. Could you imagine that? So sick. That's crazy. He goes, I sometimes didn't meet people till they went platinum. My dad never met Ron Perch until he was almost a rookie. One-on-one, face-to-face. He never got a chance to be in a room one-on-one with Ron Perch until he was a rookie. Right? So, I mean, it's very awesome. But meet and greet 1, meet and greet 2. Then we do a board plan. And then we get those people to a follow-up, obviously. And then after that follow-up, we get them to another board plan. And then second follow-up, right? And obviously we understand that we're not going to make somebody an offer until the end of that process. And the greater and the more, I don't want to say the more strict you are with this, but keeping the integrity of this process together, the more duplicatable it's going to be, and the more unified we are, the more quality of people we'll bring into this business. And when they get in, they'll know exactly how to bring people through the process because guess what? They went through it. And so, the one thing about this, and I'm going to share it with you, is for all of us in this room who did not go through the process, it's a switch. I mean, it totally is. And so that's why I didn't just hear it one day and then go tell the world about it the next day. I had to take it and begin to literally change what I've done in 6 years and flip it in a couple months. But with the process, it makes it so easy because it's you do this, and then make it yours though. Go on a journey of make it yours. It's uncharted territory. Make it yours. It's uncharted territory, it's been done by somebody else, but it's uncharted territory for you. So go through it, make it yours, struggle through it, fight through it, and come out the other end going, this is the greatest thing I've ever implemented in my business. Because you're going to be going, this is so awesome, I'm so glad. Because guys, believe me, first couple I did, in a major way. And I'm going, after I did the first one, thank goodness I didn't tell nobody. Because we were all out there sucking, and you were asking me for advice. I'm I don't know. It's it would never work. So here we go. Let's talk about meet and greet 1. So here's what I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to try to do this as easy as possible, as simple as possible, because you can get into a lot of talking, and I don't want to get into a lot of talking. I'm going to share with you exactly what we do at these meet and greets. Okay, so first meet and greet, and really it all kind of stems from meeting them. Right? When you're starting those conversations, this whole process doesn't start when you service it. It starts before that, right? With contact and inviting them and starting conversations everywhere you go, creating habits around dropping the message. We always used to talk about, show 10 plans a month. But guys, the fact is, if you set a goal you made it. You set a goal show 10 plans a month, but and that's a great goal. And I'll promise you, if you brought 10 people through this process a month, your whole business would be exploding. But if we used to set goals I'm going to show 10 a month, and if I set up 10, but 2, 3, 4, 5 canceled, I would be ticked, and the rest of my month would be ruined, and because I didn't hit that goal. But that's setting a goal and creating a goal around something I can't control. I can do what I can do the best I can do it, but still somebody can cancel. And still somebody can no-show. So I don't want to get all frustrated, be bummed, and it's not working for me, and woe is me because somebody else canceled. Create habits around what you can have control over. And you can only control 2 things in this world, your actions and your attitudes, right? So that's really important to know that you try to control anything other than that, you're going to be frustrated a long time. If you try to control what other people do and these kinds of things. All you control is what you do. So create habits around making people aware of what's available, or around dropping the message, or around showing the plan, something you can control. I'm going to say, create habits around making people aware of what's available. Because you know what? Even when you make somebody aware of what's available, you have no control over whether they're going to bite on it or not. So I think the best thing to create habits around is, how many times a day, or how many times a week, do I want to make somebody aware of what's available? Now, believe me, that goes something like we've talked about recently. I'm actually a real estate assistant, but what I'm really excited about is you recently connected up with this couple. They retired at 24 and 25 years old. Convinced them to spend some time with me. As a matter of fact, they've agreed to take me under their wing, and they're actually coaching my wife and I to retire in the next 2 to 5 years, so we're pretty pumped about that. Something along those lines. And it doesn't have to be that. I'd encourage you guys to listen to Dean Marcy Whalen's seminar, because he gives a lot of other examples on there that are really exceptional, right? And they don't even have to just be that. Because he says there's 3 ways to start conversation. There's very, very general conversation starters like, great weather, isn't it? But the problem is, those never go squat nowhere, right? Because it's just where are you going to go with that next? Yeah, it's great. You're done, right? And then there's specific conversation starters, which is hey man, I see you're all dressed up in a suit, man. You just getting off work? So it's very specific to them. Or hey man, you have a Chicago Bears shirt on, man. Hey, you from Chicago? Oh, no. Oh, man, the only reason I asked, man, you wear a Chicago Bears shirt. And then you can start conversations and get them going, right? It's an easier way because through specific conversation starting, it's a lot easier to get conversation where it needs to go. Then there's strategic, conversation starting. And people go, what is strategic? And I'm kind of, listen to his tape more. Listen to that more because I'm still learning it myself. So we're kind of learning that stuff together. But if you ever heard the approach that, hey, tell me where I know you. I meet a lot of people, man. Tell me where I know you from. And then you start like going back and forth like, how long have you worked here? No, 6 months. Well, it wouldn't be from here. It might be from, no, I go to church over here. No, that's not it. Now they're helping you solve your problem. So it's very strategic conversation starters. You don't even have to have a long conversation. It can be very, very quick, right? It ends up being very quick. And then at the very end of kind of going back and forth like, is it from here? No, I don't know from there. Is it from here? No, I know what it is. Have you been to a talk my coach has done? That's very strategic. Because now what's going to happen? 99.9% of the time they're going to go, well, I don't think so. What do they do talks about? Mm-hmm. Right? So strategic is going in there and like almost getting them to ask you what it is, right? Kind of thing. And so it's, that's a conversation starter. They go, what do they do talks on? You can say, basically they do talks on, change the way you make money so money works for you, you don't work for it. So you can retire young, get home with your family and stop sacrificing your life for a job. I guess what I said. I just made them aware of what's available. So whether it be general, I encourage you to get past general, but we all start there. Then it's just specific, which is great, but strategic's even better. And I'm not saying you have to use that approach. Whether it be specific or strategic, starting conversations, those are the ways you want to go. But you notice I just made them aware of what's available. So guess what? If I said, man, my goal is to 5 times a week, I'm going to make somebody aware of what's available. Or 2 times, hey, you know how fast you want to grow. Hey man, 2 times a day, I'm going to make somebody aware of what's available. I don't know what's going to happen from that, but I'm doing 2 a day, right? And then guess what? I just did it. Now what if they don't do anything from that? Guess what? I'm still going to go home feeling good because you know what I did? What I can control, right? So you go home feeling good about yourself, not going home, I didn't get nobody, because guys, here's the deal. You're going to have to go out there and start creating habits around it, where it's not going to come simple the first day. It's like going to the gym for 1 month and going, why am I not ripped? I quit. It's like, it's not going to work, right? So I recommend, for 30, 60, 90 days. I've always been taught stuff like that started that you won't really see results for the first 90 days. Right? Action, results follow activity. 60, generally 90 days. That's not just this business, that's in almost anything. Right? So, understand that and be willing to go out there and, somebody, if you just got to get in the habit of doing it, just go out there and 5 times a week say something along the lines of, hey man, you locked in what you're doing now, you're keeping your options open. Man, just do something to get yourself out there creating the habit of starting conversation, even if it's that kind of a message being dropped. Because you're still going to get some results from it. But like Dean said, on his audio, he goes, in the beginning of that 90 days, you're going to do 5 units of effort for 1 unit of results. So you're going to feel like you're doing 5 things and only getting 1 thing result from it. He goes, but after a while, towards the end of that 90 days, as it starts becoming a habit, and it starts just becoming who you are, not something you have to really consciously think of, okay, I'm going to say this, and they're going to say that. It just becomes something natural because you went through it 90 days. He goes, then you're going to probably do like 1 thing of effort and get like 2 things of results. It's just like, it's amazing how that stuff begins to happen. I found in my life, the harder you work, the luckier you get. The more in the game you are, the more stuff just like pops out of nowhere. You're going, I just had a guy that I prospected 4.5 years ago call me last week and go, hey man, are you still in that business? I want to talk to you now. Now, hey, believe what you want. I do not think that would have happened unless my wife and I were pumping the pump and in the hunt. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would have happened. I don't think if you're sitting there going, well man, 4.5 years ago I planted some seeds, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing and then hope they start calling, right? Hopefully 6 people call me and I go diamond, right? It's not going to happen, right? But I think the more in the hunt you are, the more stuff like that's going to happen for you, right? That's what I think, right? Where people just come in, it's like, no one's answering my phone calls. Well, have you been consistent for like 2 weeks? Stay consistent for 90 days and start seeing what kind of results you get, man. It's like, after doing this, applying some of this stuff for 90 days, making people aware of what's available, first couple days I was like, Lexi, dude, I know this works because I know somebody does it. I just got to make it work for me. It was like, dude, this sucks. No one's biting on the bait or nothing like that stuff. 3 months. I've been doing this for a while. 3 months. It's like, I start a conversation, plant the bait, they bite on it, I say what's up, and they want to meet. It's like, I look at this and go, I'm talking like 3 people a week and scheduling like 4 plans a week now. right? But it's not because of I work great. But it's because of that consistent work habit being created that it just becomes a part of you. It becomes natural, so it's not some forced thing. And it just is natural. So understand that. And I think, be ready for that. And guys, I totally believe, man, we're in the beginning of the biggest explosion that we're ever going to see, in my opinion. And it's not beginning because of some wave, right? I don't think you have to have waves when there's leadership. I think the leadership in this organization is rising. I think people are wanting to step up and take this thing in a serious way. I think God's got 10, if you don't believe in God, just ignore me. I think God's got 10, 15, 20, 1% of this city would be 20,000 of greater Las Vegas. 2% would be 40 and 3% would be 60. I think God's got 60,000 people that He's planning on putting in this organization over the next 10 years. 5, 10 years. And He's sitting there going, I got these 60,000 people. Who am I going to give them to? Who am I going to give 10,000 people to? Because they're going to get in with somebody. Jason Montano, Ross Cerencione, Dustin Staten, Nick Carr. Right? He's going to go, the people that are all in, that I can trust with these people. So, I don't know about you guys, but that's what I think. And I always wanted to put myself in a position to have the floodgates open up to where we could be blessed that way in a huge way. Mm-hmm. And I think if God knows He can trust you, I think you're going to have people flocking into your business. I think if you're still not 100% committed and you're kind of like half in and half out and you're in this business but you got this whole separate life over here, I don't think God's going to open the floodgates. I think He's going to be like, dude, I'm not sure how committed you are. You're not all in. No, I'm going to open it over here. And you're going to see explosions happening going, I'm doing the work, but why isn't it happening for me? It's not just doing the work, I don't think. I think sometimes you got to go into things expecting God to do something for you too. But it's only going to happen if you're 100% all in. That it will only happen if you are all in and committed. So, by the way, because if God knows you're going to quit in 5 years, He's not going to give you 10,000 people. Just so you understand that, right? So unless if the quit door is not welded, I think if He knows you're going to quit in 10 years, I think He still might not give you 10 people. So you just need to make sure 100% for sure that you're all in. Mm-hmm. And you're not going nowhere. Okay. So let's talk about this first meet and greet. Now, what's great about this first meet and greet is this, guys, is that when I'm going to that meeting, here's how my phone calls go setting up those meetings. It's very simple. It's, hey, Joe, Trevor here, man. We met the other day. I know we got to talking a little bit. I know I shared with you a little bit about, the guys I'm connected up with. Hey, what does you and your wife's schedule look like on Tuesday? Tuesday. I got Tuesday and Wednesday. Which day works better for you guys? Wednesday. Awesome. What time? 6 or 8? Same thing. 8. And, hey, look, man, where do you live? I live over off of, Silverado Ranch. Awesome, man. There's a Starbucks right down the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Blue Diamond. Why don't we just be right there, man? My wife and I can get together with you and your wife, sit down and get to know you guys a little bit, find out how you think, and if you think the right way, I'd consider beginning to expose you a little bit about what we do. So I'm going there to get to know them, find out how they think, and if they think the right way, then I will begin to educate them on what we do. So I'm not going there to show them anything. So you get that? That's how I'm setting up the meeting. So I'm going there to get to know them, find out how they think, and if they think the right way, then I begin educating a little bit what we do. That's how I set up every meeting that I've done through this process. That's kind of just how I set it up. So, we're going in there. And, by the way, if I know he's a couple, Lexi's always with me on these meetings. If I know he's a couple, I say, look, my wife and I are going to be there, but look forward to meeting with you and your wife. So I make them one unit. They're one person. Now, if when we show up, his wife's not there, and Lexi is there, she's going to go, throughout our conversation, she's going to go, hey, where's your wife? I was looking forward to meeting her. I thought she was going to be here. And so now I don't have to go and explain to his wife why she needs the man, why his wife needs to be there. Because sometimes that can get awkward. Hey, your wife needs to be there because, you guys don't make decisions alone and, blah, blah, blah. Now my wife goes, hey, man, where's your wife? I thought she was going to be here. I was definitely looking forward to meeting her, man. I thought she was going to be here. So now he goes home and goes, honey, Lexi was there. You need to be there at the next meeting. We're meeting with me on Tuesday. You need to be there. Which is great. It just, it's not like it doesn't get weird. It's just, yes.
Hey, so what happens on the book part? Does the wife, let's say the wife's not there the first time, do you still put that she needs to read the book too? Or is it okay if just one person reads the book?
Yeah, if she's not there, I'm going to have him read it. But then when we get back to the second meeting, I'm going to leave with her and have her read it too. Okay. Yeah, but it's just kind of like, there's where kind of coaching up line comes in handy. So here's meet and greet one, guys. When I go into that meeting, I'm dressed up. Just because we're doing it at a coffee shop and it's a little bit more of a casual situation, I am dressed up. This is a professional business. I'm representing success I'm not trying to act like I'm successful. Don't do that. But I'm going in there dressed up. Usually I'm doing my board plan at 8 and my meet and greet at 6, so I can fit them both in one night. So be dressed up. I always go with a jacket. I always go with a shirt and tie and dress pants on, or a shirt and a jacket, dress pants, and no tie. Either a jacket, no tie, or no jacket and a tie. During the summer, it's probably going to be a shirt and tie, because it's going to be too hot, right? But so basically, my wife and I just go in there. We sit down with, they're there, whatever. We go walk in the center. Either we're there first, and I recommend if you're going to schedule central locations, just kind of a little hint that I've learned over the last couple of while. Make sure you know they're open. No kidding, because there's ones you're like going, oh, they're definitely open till 7, and you go over there and they close at 6. Or you schedule a meeting at like 5:30 and they close at 6, and your meeting's only 30 minutes because they start kicking you out. And you finish your meeting outside. So just call ahead and make sure, know of a couple spots. Right? I kind of got a couple of spots in mind. Like if they live up like Centennial North area, then it's a couple coffee shops up like off of Town Center and the 215 or right at the LVAC. There's a Starbucks right there. If they're right around Mountain's Edge area, I got Holly's Cuppa right here. I got Blue Diamond right here. There's this coffee shop next to Cafe Rio. And if it's down, if they live like Silverado Ranch or Henderson, well, guess what? There's a perfect one right off of Las Vegas Boulevard and Blue Diamond. You just need to kind of know what's around you, so you guys can kind of know of some spots, right? Don't go, okay, I'll call you back with location. Just you better know some spots, right? And know kind of what's available. Be ahead of that, so you're ready. But know what time they're open till, because there's different days, different times. Coffee shops are open different times. Not all Starbucks are open till 9, right? You'll find that out. It's funny when you find that out. That you're like, I thought they were open. You're close. But when I go to the meeting, guys, it's very casual. We're walking in, we're friendly. By the way, I don't carry one thing into that meeting with me. Not one thing. Not one piece of paper. Not my calendar in my hand. Nothing. No business overviews. No pads. If Lexi and I are together, this book, because this book is a part of step number 1. This book is going to be so deep down in Lexi's purse they can't see it, or in my car. I'm not going in with anything in my hands. We're going in totally open. Because immediately, I think, when you have something in your hands, they immediately have a guard go up, even if it doesn't seem like it. They think you're trying to sell them something. If you have a pad of paper there, they think you're about to sell them something. If you have something sit there, they think you're about to sell them something. So I'd recommend going totally empty-handed. I don't set anything on the table. I set my cell phone there, and I have my water, or my coffee, or whatever it might be, right? And if you're going to do this, you know you don't have to buy drinks at these places every time. You do understand that, right? Now, I have at Starbucks for sure, but there's this little mom and pop coffee shop I use once in a while that I generally do when I go there. A teas are $2, right? You don't have to get a $6 latte every time you do a meeting. But the reason I do it, I don't care at Starbucks, because the employees don't care either, right? People are in there sitting there doing work all day and doing meetings all day, and they never buy a thing, right? But the mom and pop places, I don't want them to think I'm just using their thing to do a bunch of meetings. Like this, there's one right down the street next to Cafe Rio here on Blue Diamond. The owner's always working in there, or his wife's always working there. I was going to buy a tea or something like that, just because then they like me. I want the people, if they're mom and pop owned places, I want them to like to see me. Because if they're in here going, here's this guy again. Well, then it may just not be a great environment to do a meeting, because hey, I walked up to this gal, this couple. We've done a couple meetings at this one place, mom and pop place. I was like, hey guys, we're going to sit over here for a couple minutes. Would you mind turning down the music in here just a little bit? They're like, oh yeah, Trevor, no problem. So I created kind of a friendship. So it basically kind of creates a better environment for I think. So, but anyway, so here's what I do when I'm going, guys. Now here we go. So when I go in, we're sitting down. Now, if anybody's going to go get a drink, I'm going to go get it. Lexi's going to go sit down at the table first. Because Lexi lightens the mood of the meeting before I sit down. If I go sit down, he might start asking me questions about the business, and I lose it. We're either sitting down together, or Lexi's sitting down first and I'm following. Right? So that she can start being friendly and opening up conversation, and then I kind of come into the conversation afterwards, so it flows better, right? I didn't know the single guy, and I started running out of stuff to talk about. My meeting was like 20 minutes, right? But she sits down, and they were just 10, 15 minutes about finding out about them, asking them questions, being friendly, being nice, developing a friendship. My goal in that meeting is to see if a friendship and a trust can be developed. That's my goal in that meeting. And so when we're sitting down there, 10, 15 minutes of building rapport, asking about them and finding out about them and finding common ground and finding things that we relate about and just developing a friendship, right? After about 10, 30 minutes, throughout that, I'll be like, hey, well, tell me your story. And I got to get them to kind of tell me their background, their story, just what they're about. And, and then I say, well, look, Joe, hey, I look down at my watch. I go, Joe, I only got about another 35 minutes. Let me tell you my story. So 10, 15 minutes building rapport, finding out about them, tell me your story. Then, well, look, Joe, I only got about another 10, 15 minutes. Hey, let me tell you my story. And so now I begin to share with them my story, which in my case, I'll share with you. I got to share with you mine just so you can see exactly how I do it. Then you got to just make it yours. I say, well, look, Joe, let me kind of share with you my background. It is a little unique. Lexi and I were a young couple. Lexi lived in Vegas. I lived in California. I was a college dropout. I was making about $18,000 a year at my job, and car payments, and credit card debt already, getting out of college. And, Lexi was, from Vegas. We got married. She moved down, and, she got down, moved down. She couldn't, she didn't finish college, so she didn't have a bunch of transfer, credits that transferred. And so she wound up making like 18 grand, totaled her car, we're in another car debt, and basically just really sharing where we're at. That's what you really need to do. Share where you're at so it becomes relatable. And I said, look, just basically I was working as a real estate assistant. What I was doing was never going to get into the life of my dreams, and got connected up. And my parents, kind of unique story. I say, my parents got involved, got connected up with this organization about 24 years ago. My dad was an insurance broker, mom was a dental hygienist, so I'm now edifying my upline. And so now you'll begin to edify your upline. Basically, you're going to talk about where you were at, what things you want to accomplish, why you weren't be able to accomplish doing what you're currently doing, and then kind of like the twist of fate that you met your coach. Right? And then you're going to edify your coach and talk about how you got connected up with them and how they started talking about things that just you couldn't shake it. And that stuff that got you thinking, and they never met anybody that talked about things like they talked about. And you kind of got eager to get around them and kind of, sat down with them and kind of tried to convince them to take you under their wing and kind of earn their mentorship. But before they were willing to take you under the wing, they sat down with me and they kind of asked me a couple questions just to find out really how I thought. And so I thought I might share with you, Joe, some of the questions that my coach asked me. Right? So now, that's kind of how it goes. Why me? Where my story? How I got connected up with the people that I'm working with. I edify them, who they are, and what results they've created. And I don't just say they just took me under the wing. I say, look, let me share with you, before they were willing to take me under the wing, because they realized, they share with me that if they wanted to take me under the wing, it'd be a $10,000 to $50,000 investment over 2 to 5 years into helping my wife and I create financial independence and freedom in a 2 to 5 year time period. And they weren't just going to take me under my wing just because I was blood related. So they sat down with me and asked me some questions. And I want to share with you some of the questions they asked me. So that's kind of how I transitioned to that. Now this is the best part. You are now going to share with them a hypothetical conversation that happened between you and your coach at that first time you sat down with your coach. Now, did it actually happen?
No.
Maybe not. For some of you guys that have gone through the process, it did happen. But that's why, for the people that are currently in that did not get sponsored utilizing this process, just understand this. You're more there to find out if they think the right way. And here's how you can do that. I said, Joe, let me share some of the questions my coach asked me. I said, Joe, my dad looked at me and he goes, Trevor, he goes, are you outcome focused or are you process oriented? And I'm going to do it exactly how I do it. Ready? I said, my dad sat down with me and goes, Trevor, I got to ask you, are you outcome focused or are you process oriented? And I said, Dad, what do you mean by that? He goes, what I mean, Trevor, is would you rather work hard for 2 to 5 years and at the end of those 2 to 5 years be financially independent and totally free? Or would you rather work long for 40 doing something that you love, but at the end of those 40 years still wind up frustrated financially? I'm not talking to my prospect. I'm talking to my dad who's not here right now. Right? I'm telling them I'm building for them a conversation that happened. I'm going to go, well, Dad, 2 to 5 years. You mean there's a way to retire in 2 to 5 years? He goes, yeah, absolutely. He goes, would you choose 2 to 5 years or 40? I said, absolutely 2 to 5 years. He goes, well then Trevor, you're outcome focused. I said, awesome. He goes, Trevor, one of the biggest problems is that people say they're outcome focused, but then they begin to flip-flop between outcome and process. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? He goes, Trevor, what happens a lot of times is I ask them that question. They always say they're outcome focused because 2 to 5 years compared to 40 years, if you choose the 40-year plan, that's just A+ in bad math. Right? And he goes, so I said, he goes, But then as I begin to expose to them what we do, and begin to expose to them a little bit more about what we do, they start saying things like, it's not for me. It's not my personality. It doesn't seem like my cup of tea, these kinds of things. They start saying things that begin to say that they're really not outcome focused. They begin to talk more about that process isn't for them. And he goes, Trevor, what I normally do is I look to him and I say, well, Joe, what is it for you? I said, because financial freedom in 2 to 5 years, that's for you, right? And Trevor, they always say, oh, absolutely. He goes, and then I look at him and go, well, process isn't for you. Is that what you're talking about? Like what we do and how it works? Well, you know, Joe, that wasn't for me either initially. I didn't want to sit with people. I mean, I was perfectly fine not knowing anybody I didn't know. He goes, you know what? So process wasn't for you just like it wasn't for me. Outcome is for you, just like it is for me. But Trevor, I asked him, what's the difference between you and me? He goes, that outcome's making my decisions. And that's why we retired at 28, 32 years old, and we're full-time parents since our babies were 7 years old and below. He goes, and right now, Joe, if you're allowing process to make your decisions, process is making yours, unless you're ready to change that. So I said, Dad, I'm absolutely outcome focused, man. Who cares what it is as long as it works? And he goes, fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. He goes, Trevor, another buddy of mine named Brad Duncan always used to ask, since I remember, he always asked, would you shovel wet horse manure into wet paper bags for 5 years? That's kind of another way to ask the same exact question. And Trevor, he goes, Trevor, how about you? Would you shovel horse manure in wet paper bags for 5 years? Barehanded, Dad. Who cares what it is as long as it works? Because so many people would rather do something that sounds cool than something that works. He goes, I'm glad to hear you're outcome focused. I said, how about you guys, Joe? How about you, Joe and Mary? Are you guys think you're more outcome focused or more process oriented? So I just shared with them a whole question and dialogue. I shared with them the question I was asked, the answer I gave, and now I'm going to ask them the question. It's a very easy way to ask a question. Because you were asked the question. And you gave the correct answer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now you're about to share with them and ask them, well, how about you, Joe, Mary? How about you guys? Do you think you're more outcome focused or more process oriented? And then I let them talk. Because I want to know. And they go, oh man, we're absolutely outcome focused. We have a couple that we're bringing through the process right now. He goes, his wife goes, dude, I'm from Michigan. I've shoveled horse manure my entire life. For me to be a full-time mom, I have a baby on the way and one-year-old baby right now. Why would I not do that? The other guy goes, well, I was already looking into starting several different kinds of businesses to get ahead, man. And I was already getting ready. I said, I thank God it didn't go through because I was looking at my wife saying, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, you will not see me, honey. I'll work all week long, and then Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, you will not see me. Because the business that I was thinking about starting would have required that. But guess what? It was so we could keep my wife home. Because I'm absolutely outcome focused. I didn't want to own that business, but it was an option to keep my wife home. I said, awesome. Okay, question number 1. Question number 2. I said, Joe, the second question my dad asked me was, Trevor, you've been at college for a year. I don't know what you've been doing. I mean, obviously you grew up in this lifestyle, but you went off to college and, I don't know what you were taught over there, but are you one of those kinds of people, Trevor, or you and your friends the kind of people that think that everything outside of a job is a pyramid? Trevor, are you one of those kinds of people, are you and your friends the kind of people that think that everything outside of a job is a pyramid? And I said, well, Dad, I'm not really educated on pyramids. But I guess not. I know there's a lot of wealthy people, and I know they don't work 40-hour-week jobs, and I know they're not doing some dorky pyramids. He goes, I say, but why do you ask? He goes, because most people they tend to call things pyramids and cults that they're not educated on, as opposed to being willing to educate themselves. It generally works more like a defense mechanism that keeps them from ever having to learn anything. So I said, no, absolutely not. I don't call things pyramids cults. Yeah, I have some friends that have done some dorky things before, but everything outside of a job is not a pyramid. Of course there's other ways to make money. I just don't think wealthy people really just walk around telling people what they do. Mm-hmm. And he goes, good, I just want to make sure you're not that. I said, how about you, Joe? I mean, do you guys, have you guys, used words like pyramids and cults before? Or the people you hang out with, they find out about an opportunity, they call it a pyramid, a cult instantly before they're educated about it? See what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. I'm more there to find out how they think and begin to help them think properly. And they go, well, no, man, of course not. I mean, like you said, your dad. I mean, there's a lot of things out there people do that create a lot of great income. And of course, it's not pyramids and cults. They're just successful. And they just don't go sharing their details with everybody, or whatever they say. And I go, great. I said, Joe, the third question he asked me was, Trevor, have you ever been involved? This is a good one. You got to get this one down. This one's really good. He goes, Trevor, have you ever been involved? He goes, you've been at college for a year. Now, it's kind of unique because it was my dad. It's way better that I'm not your dad. When you're talking about me potentially as your coach and you're building dialogue that we had with you, right? He goes, Trevor, you've been at college for a year. I don't know what you've been up to for a year, but have you ever been involved in a network marketing company before? Have you ever been involved in a network marketing company before? Or an information age business before? Now, just between you guys and me right now, sitting in this room, if you have, it's even better. You know, sometimes people might go, man, I don't really want to admit that I was. If you were in this room, have been, please understand that it's way better if you have. Because it helps make so much more sense in your conversation. I said, Dad, well, I haven't. If you have, please. If you were even in like Mary Kay for a second, please say you were. Because it's so much better. But if you weren't, don't lie.
You said that before you asked him? What about
No,
you?
I said,
No, this is the conversation.
So here's the conversation. I say, Joe, my dad asked me, he goes, Trevor, I don't know what you've been doing for a year. Have you ever been involved in network marketing or in information age business model before? I said, well, no, Dad, I wasn't. But I had tons of friends in college that were doing different things, cell phones, juice, and all these kinds of things. Why? Is that what this is? Well, no, it's not. I said, is that going to help me in learning about this? He goes, no, absolutely won't. I'm like, well, why is that? He goes, well, those things that you witnessed over there, or if you were involved, that thing that you were in before, was it more about selling and recruiting, or was it more about mentorship and leadership? Well, Dad, it was, all the things I saw my friends doing, it was way more about selling and recruiting. It's like, they were always pushing this cell phone plan on me or these legal services or whatever it might be. So it was all about just selling this thing, and then you should sell this too. You can make a ton of money, man. You sign up and make a ton of money selling this stuff too. And it's like, it was purely selling and recruiting. I never saw mentorship. I never saw any great leadership. It was just people running around selling and recruiting all day. He goes, that thing that you saw over there, your friends doing, or that thing that you were involved before, was there some sort of an interview process? Kind of a qualification process? Or were you just kind of signed up? Or your friends just kind of signed up in it? I'm like, Dad. No, it was like, one day they went to a meeting, the next day they were signed up in something, and they were selling and recruiting from the next day. So he goes, well, that's exactly why I need to ask you this next question. He goes, I need to ask you, can you unlearn everything you've learned? Can you flush everything you saw over there? Because absolutely none of that's going to help you here. I said, absolutely. He goes, great. Okay, now if you have been in one before, it's even better, like I said. Have you ever been involved? Hey Trevor, have you ever been involved in a network marketing company before? Well, yeah, I have. In college, I was in one. Is that what this is? Is that going to help me learning about this? Well, no, absolutely it won't. Well, why is that? Well, that thing you were in before, Trevor, was it based more about selling and recruiting, or was it more about mentorship and leadership? I had a guy, the last two people I met with, they've both been in something before. Met a guy I met with at 4 o'clock today. He was in something before. He goes, no, man, it was just about selling and recruiting, man. It was just like, go out there and push this product on people and try to get them to sell it to. I said, he goes, Trevor, was there kind of an interview process you had to go through? Was it just something you were just kind of like, you saw it and you signed up in it? They spent all day trying to get you to sign up in it. Trying to convince you to sign up. I'm like, yeah, it was way more about convincing you to sign up. He goes, that's exactly what I need to know if you can unlearn everything you've learned. Because none of that will help you here. I said, now how about you guys? I said, how about you guys, Joe? How about you, Joe and Mary? Have you guys ever been involved in a network marketing company before? They're like, yeah, we were in college. I say, well, did what I just shared with you make sense? Can you unlearn everything you've learned? Because none of that will help you here. And I get them to answer me. Okay, now just a little side note on this. I just met with a couple 5 days ago. They were actually there at the dental clinic today. Real tall black guy. And his wife was, I think she's pregnant right now. They were in Amway before. They were in Worldwide before. 4 years ago. So it wasn't like 25 years ago they were in, it's nothing the same. 4 years ago they attended Worldwide functions in Vegas. I saw them. Right?
Yeah.
Did I sit across the table from them when I went to that meeting with you and ask them the network marketing question? I knew they were in Amway. I knew they were in Worldwide. I knew who their upline was. And I asked them, I said, were you guys ever involved in a network marketing company before? Like, yeah, we were in Amway. We know you. I said, so obviously you were in Worldwide. Well, yeah, they're like, what, is that kind of like what you're going to teach us to do? And I said, no, absolutely will not. I said, I have to ask you, because seriously, especially since you were involved in Amway Worldwide before, I have to ask you, besides the values and the principles that you gained from Worldwide, can you unlearn everything you've learned? Can you come to me with a fresh slate so I can build and teach you how to build this business properly? Because if you're not willing to come with a fresh slate, we're going to struggle. So I even asked the guy that was in Worldwide 4 years ago to forget and flush everything he learned. And they're like, no, dude, we need to, because with our old upline, even though they were in Worldwide, it was way more about selling and recruiting. And there was no real mentorship and leadership. It was like selling and recruiting. It would just go sign people, just invite them to meetings. He goes, that's not the way we want to do it. We see something totally different here. It's great. You understand why I asked that question right there? Because I want to clear it up that that's not what they're thinking I do, I don't do. I don't do what they think I do. Because we're meeting in a coffee shop, they think they know what I do. They think it's some little network marketing, they sign up deals where it's like you've seen one thing, you've seen all of them. They need to know this is something totally different. Okay, I said, how about you guys? Yeah, they go, yeah, we were. I said, does what I just showed you make sense? Can you unlearn everything you've learned? Or if they go, well, no, we weren't. I'm going, good. Then I'm not going to have to ask you if you can unlearn everything. And I go, Joe, the fourth question he asked me was this. He goes, Trevor, are you more of a free thinker? Or do other people kind of make your decisions for you? Hey, Trevor, are you more of a free thinker or do other people kind of make your decisions for you? I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, before you can make a quality decision, you always have to worry about what your friends are going to think. Do you have to take a straw poll with all your broke friends before you can make a decision? I'm like that. When I was a single guy, before I got married, I was probably a little more like that, really more worried. My self-image was attached to what my friends thought and all those kinds of things. And he goes, but the minute I got married was the last day I cared what any of my broke friends thought. They, as a matter of fact, all told me I shouldn't get married because I was 20 years old, and they all laughed at me. But the minute I got married, I cared what 3 people thought. What God thought, what my wife thought, and what you thought. Not only because you have an emotional vested interest in me as my dad, because you were potentially offering me a financial vested interest, so really I don't care. What anybody else thinks. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally a free thinker. He goes, fantastic. Because a lot of people don't know the difference between an emotional vested interest and a financial vested interest. Mm-hmm. People who have an emotional vested interest in you generally tend to give you really bad advice they don't think through very far. Because it doesn't affect them financially either way. Honey, the best thing your mom and I ever did was buy a house. And then you just go buy a house. And whether you lose your house or not, they didn't think through that you could lose that house and have to do short sale and have to do all that kind of stuff. They didn't think through that through. They just said you should get a house because that's what they did. But when you got somebody with a financial vested interest, Trevor, this is my dad talking to me again, right? The dialogue with him. Because Trevor, but when someone's got a financial vested interest in you, they're going to give a lot of thought to everything they tell you. Because it could financially benefit or financially hurt them in the long run. So I need to know that you know how to listen to the right people. I'm like, he goes, like, if you started a McDonald's franchise, who do you want to talk to? Somebody who wants to be a successful McDonald's franchise? Or your uncle who's an accountant? Now, I know he's a successful business, he's got a business degree, but he's never owned a successful McDonald's franchise. He might be successful in that arena, but he's not successful in this arena, and this is the arena you're wanting to be in. I just didn't know you can listen to the right people. Do you think you'll be able to identify and have a clearer picture of who to listen to? Does that make sense? And I go. He goes, great. I go, yeah. He goes, how about you guys? How about you guys, Joe, man? I mean, if they're totally like, oh, dude, that totally makes sense, then I don't have to ask them because they're totally tracking and like agreeing verbally. But if they're kind of sitting there listening, I go, well, how about you guys? Are you guys more free thinkers, or do other people kind of make your decisions? They generally start telling you an experience as to why they are a free thinker. Oh man, our whole family told us not to move to Vegas, man. We just knew we needed to change. They all told us we'd go, we'd be back. But we decided to move out there anyway. Because we needed some change. So, they start kind of telling you and giving you an example of how they're a free thinker.
They're selling you.
They're selling them. You notice how this is looking now? They're now selling themselves on me versus us selling ourselves on them. So you understand, guys, this is more, it's conversational. It's not just like speaking at them. You're conversating with them. It's very mellow. It's very, how about you guys, Joe? Do you guys think you're kind of that way? One of the, and Dean Landon gives a couple other questions that are great on the seminar if you guys want to listen to that. One of the questions that he asked, I'm considering adding in, but I'm not going to add it until I've done it several times myself. And I figured it out for myself how it makes sense for me. Because if it doesn't make sense to you, don't ask the question. Take ownership over everything you ask. Don't just ask it because you're just regurgitating what you hear me say tonight. If it makes sense to you, ask it. There could be 50,000 different questions. The point is not the question. Even though these are some good ones because it clears up some things up front. I love these questions because it clears it all up front. The point is that you are asking the questions. So it's creating an imprint that this is not some sign-up thing. This is not something I'm trying to sell on you. They're selling me. I'm not selling them. That they're going through an interview process. But it's an easy way to ask those interview kind of questions by sharing the dialogue first, then asking the question second. Sharing the dialogue that you have with your coach, the questions your coach asked you, hypothetically, it did not happen. My dad did not do this with me. I turned 18 and said, sign me up. But it don't make no difference. I need to lead them how to think. Does that make sense? One of the other questions I'm considering asking, don't do this one until you hear out of Dean Whalens. He goes, if you were to rank your quality of life, Joe, if you were to rank your quality of life, 1 being sucks and 10 being the life of your dreams, where would you rank yourself? Like your dreams, like full-time husband, wife, full-time parents, multimillionaires, traveling the world, living in the homes of your dreams, driving the car with your dreams, like the life of your dreams, 10. Mm-hmm. Where would you rank yourself? Like a 5? I'm figuring out how to do this. I'm not doing this one yet, but it's something I want you to listen to on that CD because it is quality. It's a good question. He goes, I haven't figured out how I haven't made sense in it in my mind, so I'm not asking it yet. So don't do this one yet. I'm going to say, Joe, how long have you known that? Just ask him. Don't take this the wrong way, but how long have you known that? Well, like a couple years. Then why haven't you done anything about it? Basically, I want them to, in their mind, flat out admit they don't have another way to get to a 10. Like they don't got 50,000 other options. Because if they've known they've been a 5, they know they want to get to a 10. They've been at a 5 for 5 years. And then they go home and show them the plan, and they go home and go, I'll think about it, like what, you got 5 other options? I want them to mentally admit they don't got one. Why haven't you done anything about it?
Would you still have a discussion with yourself and kind of mapping out what you... Because quite honestly, sometimes I think people can overestimate their quality of life, and I think if you discuss it the way that you have been, it might form a little bit better. And
I'm going to ask that in the form of a question that my dad would ask me. And it's going to be. That's why I'm not doing it yet. See, right? That's why I'm not doing it yet, because I got to make it. I got to come to this together. I got to have this clear picture of what I'm going to do before I do it, because you don't want to just do it. It's going to be something like, Trevor, what's your quality of life? I said, Dad, well, I saw what great looked like when I lived at home with you guys. We traveled the world. We were multimillionaires, full-time husband, wife, full-time parents, debt-free, driving cars of our dreams, living at home, dreaming dad. Compared to that, there's not one person in my office anywhere near a 5. So I'm going to ask it in some way like that gets them to be willing to go, that's kind of a tough question if you weren't asked it yourself. Mm-hmm. See, it's a way to ask tough questions. But it gets below just like the surface, like, what's your dream? You notice I didn't ask that question at all in these questions. And based on the way, you guys see now, after done that, these questions, I go, Joe, hey, guys, great. Hey, based upon the way you guys are thinking, based upon the way you think, and the way you're answering these questions right here, and I think we can begin to develop a friendship and trust, which is my goal in this first meeting, was to develop friendship and trust with you, find out how you think. I'm definitely willing to set up another time where we can get back together, and I begin to expose to you guys a little bit what we do. That's pretty much first meeting. But then I scheduled the meeting 4 days out, and I said, well, look, Joe, between now and then, between now and Thursday, when we get back together, I have this book I want you to read. Now, if anywhere through this process they start asking what questions, or what is it questions, or what is his business questions, you guys work on this. We're going to be millionaires. Mm-hmm. So work hard on getting these answers right. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, if you work at McDonald's and they go, what comes on the burger? You have to know. Mm-hmm. So make sure in this multi-millionaire business you're about to build, you educate yourself and treat this like a serious deal, man. You should be able to go to all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and it comes out like quick. Work on it. One thing I learned from Dean Whalen, very good, that was educated me a lot, because I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person, which has changed. I've put 50, 100 hours plus into thinking about this, what I'm sharing with you right now, before I share it with you. Work on it. He has an answer for everything. And it just doesn't fly out of his buns. He has Rolodexes. You know, old school phone book Rolodexes. Hundreds of cards in this one, hundreds in this one, hundreds in this one. Of questions, and on the back, the answer that he came up with that makes sense to him. If he goes, if I ever get a question that kind of stumps me, and I don't have the answer, like, boom. He goes, I don't just go home and go, that one didn't go too good. He goes, I go home, I write the question down, and I think, and I stare at it. He goes, I put the question, he goes, I put the paper with the question right in front of me, and I stare at it until the answer comes to me. And then I write the answer down, and I memorize it. He goes, I've got hundreds of cards, I've got Rolodexes of questions and answers, objections and answers. You know? And so when he goes, so if any time, guys, here's the answer. If any time during this first meet and greet, they ask questions like, well, what is this? I mean, can you go into any details? You know, Joe, really I can't. Well, Joe, really I can't. If they ask any questions about details, you go, Joe, really I can't. Really this first meeting was just really to get together with you, to get to know you, find out how you think, and schedule the next meeting to begin to share with you what we do. There's layers of understanding to be built on this thing. I said, I asked Glenn Baker, I asked my dad the same question if he could start sharing stuff with me. He goes, Trevor, let me ask you a question, Trevor. What's your education level on financial independence? And I said, well, Dad, I don't have one, man. I've had a job my whole life. And he goes, then what makes you think you'll even have a grid to comprehend anything I'm going to share with you when we're talking about building an asset and creating financial freedom in a 2 to 5 year time period? You don't even have a grid to comprehend it. I said, Joe, does that make sense? There's layers of understanding built around this. My goal today was to get to know you, find out if a friendship and trust can be developed, find out how you think. And because you think the right way, I'm going to schedule a time with you, and I'm going to begin to share with you what we do. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's how you just redirect the question. It's stellar, dude. It's thinking work. And they always go, oh, that makes sense. They don't keep fighting back on it. If they keep fighting back about peppering you for millions of questions, which I haven't had it happen once. Once I said that, what I just shared with you, I haven't had it happen once where they keep asking questions. Because I just laid down the law. Because they ain't ready for it. Nope. If they keep asking questions, I go, Joe, don't take this the wrong way, but the fact that you keep asking me these questions gives me the feeling that you think I'm trying to sell you something. And I wait for their answer. Awkward silence. John Maxwell says, be okay with awkward silence. The fact that you keep asking me and peppering me for questions is giving me the feeling that you think I'm trying to sell you something. Well, no, I'm just really anxious to find out what it is. That's why I'll schedule the next meeting with you. And we'll talk about that then. But between now and then, I have something I want you to read. I have this book called The Business of the 21st Century. This is going to build a foundation for you so that you're ready to even comprehend and take in the information that I'm going to begin to share with you, because I am going to share with you and potentially get you around guys that will show you how to create financial independence and freedom in a 2 to 5 year time period. This changed my thinking about this business model. This right here will build a foundation on top of which I can build a 100-story building over the next 3 to 4 weeks. But if you don't have a foundation, you're not ready for the information. So I have to know that you can read this book between now and then. I read this book in 3.5 days. Or I read this book in a 4-hour plane flight. So do you think you can get through this book, Joe? I go like this, man. It's with big letters, pictures, pages that are empty. I mean, do you think you can get through this book in 3 or 4 days? They're like, man, like, look at this thing right here, right? I'm like, do you think you can get this in 3 to 4 days? They're like, yeah, totally. Well, look, man, I need you and your wife both to get through this. Because it'll create a foundation, now I'll be ready to begin to share with you what we do. The first thing I'm going to ask you when we get back together is, did you read the book? And if you didn't, I'm not going to be able to go into sharing with you what I'm going to share with you. Because you won't be ready for it. Does that make sense?
100%.
They're like, totally. I say, great. Have this book read. It will keep you up at night. If you think the way you're thinking right now, and I think that you think the right way, like we're talking right now, the way we're talking, this book's going to keep you up at night. It's going to get your wheels turning. You're going to be so stinking pumped when I begin to share with you what we do when we get back together in 4 days. And so we schedule the next meeting. I hand him the book deep out of Lexi's purse, or I go, hey, let me go grab something from my car. I want you to read it. Right? It's not on the table. I don't have it out. I go, you ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki? Yeah, business. Richard Porter. Yeah, he wrote this book about our business model. It's great. It's a third party review of our model. I need you to read it because it'll build a foundation for you. It changed my thinking about this business model. Can you read this? Yes. Boom. Okay. So I give him the book. We talk for another. We schedule the follow-up right back at that same exact Starbucks, same exact place. If he's married, just the guy comes. Joe, I need you and your wife both here. My wife's going to be with me. And if we're even consider taking someone who's a significant other, significant relationship, or they're married, I'm not going to take you through alone. I'm going to take you both through it together. Okay, that's meet and greet number 1. And I schedule the next meeting. And then we talk for about 5-10 minutes, more friendship building, more rapport building. And guys, guess what? I'm out of there in 5-0. Maximum 50 minutes. I mean, Kate and Terry have helped watch the babies a couple times. We've done these meetings, but it's been like we leave 10 minutes before the meeting starts because the coffee shop's right down the street. Like our meeting's at 4. We leave it at 3:50. We do our meeting at 4, and we're back by 5:05. So that's the first meeting. Does that make sense? Okay, that's meet and greet number 1. You see, this isn't just like doing a 2-step. These are very specific things that happen in each meeting. And by the way, I don't know how long it just took me to go through that right here. But I want to make sure you guys grasp this so you can go out there and begin to make it yours and go do it. So I'm telling you, if we all get this down and we bring people into the business with this process, they are going to bring people through this process, and it's going to just explode in a massive way. Okay, meet and greet number 1. Okay, so now here we go. Meet and greet number 2. Now you understand, guys, just between me and you, this book right here, it talks about the ESBI quadrant. Yes? Yeah. It talks about the only way to create wealth in the United States of America, you'll never create wealth in a job. As a matter of fact, a job is a legalized pyramid. Yeah. And you'll never create wealth in a job. It also talks about how the only way to create wealth is building an asset that creates cash flow. It talks about 2 ways to be in the D quadrant. It talks about the industrial age business model, the information age business model. Is this all sounding familiar? Are you like going, I'm reading this. Trevor just did all this in his board plan. Okay, right, because it makes so much common sense. Here's how it works. When we get back together, we get back in the same place. I'm still dressed up, still looking good, still dressed sharp. My wife's dressed sharp. 5-10 minutes, rapport building, friendship, developing a relationship. I want them to like me. Okay, they got to like you. So make sure this is conversational, not being a jerk. There is a fine line between posture and being a jerk. You want to lean more towards creating a friendship and trust and having so much posture, not because you're trying to come up with some artificial attitude, but because you believe so unbelievably much in what we have to offer these people that if they make it through this process, they will be retired in 2 to 5 years if they'll do what's taught. And you're going to introduce them to some people that have done some things that no one they've ever met in the world has ever done. You're connected up with some of the most successful people in North America that are willing to teach you how to do it if you can earn it. It's a mentality. It has to become a part of your DNA. Okay? Where it's not artificially created, it's just who you are. It's not posture, it's not words you use, it's who you are. Okay? So, get back to the other 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, just rapport building. I say, guys, look, man, I told him, I said, we're only about an hour. So I get back together, and I say, guys, look. I say, Joe, did you get through the book in its entirety? Did you get all the way through the book? Now, if they went through only 50% of it, they're like, oh, we were really busy, friends, I wasn't able to get through all of it. Well, Joe, I appreciate you being honest, but really, I can't share with you what I want to share with you if you only want to do 50% of it. I can't go through what I wanted to go through with you have only gone through 50% of it. I mean, you tell me. I mean, is this something you're actually wanting and have an interest in going through a process, potentially meeting the guys that I've told you about? If it is, and you're serious that you'll get through this book and seriously give it the attention that it deserves, I'm willing to reschedule with you. But if you're just not interested and you're not, you're just kind of like flaked because you didn't want to, don't take that the wrong way, then we'll just stop the process right now. But if you can convince me that you actually want to go through this process, get educated about this, and potentially earn an offer to be coached and mentored by millionaires, I'm willing to give you another shot. Can you have this book read in 2 days? And I'll reschedule with them in 2 days, and we'll get back together, and they'll have the whole thing read at that time. But if they go, well, I only read like 50% of it, and I didn't really get through it, you're like, oh, that's okay, well, let's do this meeting anyway because I'm just so eager to sponsor somebody. Guess what? The whole process just went to crap. Doesn't matter how you try to correct it, it just all went to crap. Because now they just saw that there's actually no integrity to the process. It's just kind of like winging it and whatever. And if they went to a job interview, and the owner of that company said, you have, for a bartender position, hey, you need to have the menu memorized, or whatever. Think about it. You have to have the menu memorized by your next interview. And if they go back and goes, do you have the menu memorized? Oh, I couldn't get through it. They wouldn't give them another shot. Because there's 15, 20 people vying for that same job, and somebody who really wanted the job memorized it. Right? So, I say, guys, get through the book in its entirety. If they read 75% of it, I'm good. I'm good if they read 75% of it. But I say, guys, hey, look, man, 75%, that's not all of it. I'm going to leave this with you. Because I want you to finish it. But because you read 75% of it, did it keep you up in line like I thought it would? Did you get your wheels turning? And then they usually start telling you the part that impacted them the most. They usually start telling you the part that fired them up the most. I've had everybody tell me the favorite part of the book. Like, man, like that, especially when they were talking about having to be in that B quadrant, man, I totally get that. Or, when they were talking about having to, surrounding yourself with good association, man, my wife and I have been talking about that. We really need to do that. I had one guy that was in business, in another multi-level business where he goes, what he was saying there about mentorship and leadership, and I know that's kind of what you talked about last time. He goes, that's something I never saw when I was in before. That's something I'm definitely looking for now. So it kind of like totally prepared them. They're like their mind is fertile soil. Now they're ready for me to plant the information. So here it is. Imagine this is just a piece of paper. I'm talking, I don't go in with nothing. Except for one pad of paper. I'm talking a pad of paper. I don't even go with a notebook, man. I got a pad of paper. Just one pad, Office Depot paper. You can go with a pad of paper however you want. But I just go with a pad of paper. I don't carry nothing else in. There's no CDs, there's no audio, there's no squat, nothing. A pad of paper, my wife and I, nothing else. And I say, Joe, look at that. Because you read that book, I think you're ready for some of the information. Let me start to share with you a little bit of what we do. And guys, just imagine this is a piece of paper. Actually, I'm going to do this right here. Watch this. Now it looks like a piece of paper. So this is it. I'll show you exactly what I do on this piece of paper. I say, no, look, Joe, like you read in the book. I keep referencing back to the book because, guys, it's not me telling them. It's Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Most people have heard of that dude. So it brings tons of credibility to what I'm about to share with them. They're not going to argue with Robert Kiyosaki. Right? They might argue with me, 21-year-old kid, when I was starting, but they're not arguing with Robert Kiyosaki. So I said, just like in the book you read, Joe, there's 4 ways to make money. Now, if you've been to any of my board plans, this is precisely what I do in my board plan. Mm-hmm. I said there's 4 ways to make money. There's the, you read the book, Joe, the ES, BI quadrants, and the E quadrant being, becoming an employee and trading time for money. The second way being self-employed or a small business owner, but don't be confused, you still are employed, you just own your own job, right? So this is trading, you learn these little symbols right here, trading time for money. And I kind of talk a little about employee, right? Like you heard me do the board plan, just get some of your own conversational about employee, right? I said, then there's a self-employed where you're trading time for more money, but in most cases, generally trading more time. Like a dentist or whatever. He's the only one in his office licensed to do what he does. Use examples in your own life, guys, right? I said, Joe, we're not going to talk about investing here today because most people don't have any money to invest anyway. But we're going to talk about the B quadrant. And they're like, By the way, Robert Kiyosaki talked about that already. Most people don't have money to invest anyway. You got to create wealth before you can invest. So we talked about it. I said, Joe, look at man. Well, obviously, we're in the B quadrant. And there's really two ways to be in the B quadrant. There's the industrial age business model, and there's the information age business model. The industrial age business model is the go into debt way. The information age business model is the stay debt free way. My wife and I got fired up about the debt free way. Industrial age business model would be like Steve Wynn with a casino, a lot of employees. But only one person at the very top of the corporate pyramid. The information age business model is where you duplicate through owners like Ray Kroc did with McDonald's. He taught 30,000 people how to own their own McDonald's franchise, and Ray Kroc makes $1 million a day. Does that make sense? So Joe, my wife and I were shown how in a 2 to 5 year time period, in the information age business model, duplicating through owners versus duplicating through employees and staying debt free, how we create financial independence and total freedom. Be able to be full-time husband and wife and full-time parents in a 2 to 5 year time period. And I got to share with you, Joe, the day I found out there was a way, an honest way, and I was sitting across the table from somebody who had actually done it. As soon as I found out there was a way to retire in 2 to 5 years, I instantly became skeptical of the 40-year plan. I mean, having a 40-year plan, knowing there's a 2 to 5 year plan, and still choosing the 40-year plan is like getting an A+ in bad math. And they laugh and go, yeah. I go, so does that make sense? That's the business quadrant we're in. That's the quadrant we're in. And by the way, they read all about that already in the book. The whole book talks about that. I said, so watch this, Joe. Let me show you this. Here's how simple what we do is, let me begin to share with you. And like I shared with you, I'm not going through everything here today. There's layers of understanding to be built on top of this. I'm going to give you the 30,000 foot view. Like I'm flying over Las Vegas at 30,000 feet, looking down at the city. It kind of looks like this. You can't really see all the details though. So here's the thing. Here's me and you right here. We spend money every single month shopping over here at what I like to call their store, wherever it is you shop. And where do you guys shop, Joe? Target, Walmart, Costco, Hughes, Ray's, Vaughn, Smith's, Bob's, wherever, right? Yeah, right. I mean, Vaugh's is right down the street from our house, Smith's, whatever. And we go home with our product, but we leave all of our money right here at their store. They keep all of our money, which is precisely the only reason in the world why anybody actually has to have a job. Isn't that right? I mean, even if you hated it, you still have to do it. Right? And they go, yeah. I said, well, basically you have to have a job because you have to make money, spend money, run out of money. Isn't that right? And they go, absolutely. So it's conversational. Isn't that right? Is that making sense? Yes. I said, Joe, you know what I realized when I got around these guys that were teaching me how to create financial independence? They started sharing with me where the wealth's created in that plan. And what I found out, Joe, is the wealth created for the owners of the companies we work for and for the owners of the companies we shop from. We work and create wealth for them, shop and create wealth for them, and never create wealth for ourselves. What gets left over there? It's called a living, a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and food on the table. While these people become multi-billionaires, multi-millionaires, and they're traveling the world and they have amazing lives. Does that make sense? They're like, yeah. I said, now watch this. If there was a store, now I don't go, hey, if you're looking for, you have your own store, right? I say, if there was a store across town that you didn't know about until somebody told you about and they've sold everything you already buy, you couldn't just go shop there. It was across town. You couldn't just go shop there. You kind of had to go through a process and earn a membership. But once you earned that membership, 35% kickback on everything you purchase from here on out over the month's period of time. So if you spend $1,000 that month, you get $350 a month. I mean, 35% kickback on everything you buy. Would you shop at that store? You know what they always say? Yeah. I had one girl go, I would wave at the old stores. I said, what if it wasn't even in the most convenient location? I mean, would you drive past 2 or 3 of the stores you currently shop from to get to that store? She goes, 35% kickback, absolutely. I said, you know what the problem is, though? That business model does not exist, does it? And they're like, well, no, it doesn't. I said, well, no, it doesn't in the industrial age business model. Employees, buildings, overheads, employees, checkout stands, carts, shopping carts, shelves, stock. No, it does not. But that business model does exist, Joe. That's precisely our business model. That is exactly what we do. So if somebody goes through this process, Joe, and they earn an offer in a business, if you're what we're looking for, we're going to teach you how to go into business for yourself, have your own store. Start shopping over here and stop shopping over here. Rule number 1 in business. Not this business, in business, period. You'll go home not only with the product like you did before, the difference is because it's your own business, you're not going to go home with the money as well as the profit, and therefore comes a point in time where you no longer have to have a job. I have a question for you, Joe. What store would you shop from? Your store or their store? They're like, my store. Duh. I had this one guy go, the guy that was at the meeting we did the other night, the blonde couple, he goes, so what you're telling me is if the worst case scenario, we're going to shop and get paid for what we're currently buying? I'm like, kinda. Right? So what store would you shop from? I'm like, my own store, obviously. I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's what I said too. It's common sense. Now here's my question for you. You know, the average single spends $400 to $600 a month. The average couple single spends $400 to $600. The average couple spends, $800 to $1,000 a month just consumption. Do you think? If depending on what they are, I'm going to kind of go. I mean, $400 to $600 if they're single. I'm going to go. You think it's about right for a single? They're like, yeah. I'm like, for a couple, the average is about $800 to $1,000. The average couple with kids is usually about $1,200 or more. If they're a couple with kids, they go, what do you think? About $1,200 more? They're like, yeah, totally. I said, so do you think it'd be safe to say that you guys in your household spend probably $20 a day consuming? And they're like, oh, dude, totally. I said, yeah, that's the high end of the single kids, and that's way below couples. They're like, yeah, absolutely. I said, well, check this out. How many other households do you know consume and spend money just like you do? And they're like, well, everybody. I said, well, check this out. With our help, with our help, with my coach's help, we're going to help you begin to identify 20 other households that consume about $20 a day and basically redirect their consumption from that direction to this direction. Whether they want to be customers of yours, or we identify ambition, they think the right way, and we take them through a process just like we'll take you through, and we decide to make them an offer to go into business for themselves. So basically, whether they want to own their own McDonald's franchise, or they just want to buy burgers at your McDonald's, you don't care. 20 other households consume about $20 a day, Joe. You're looking at the summer neighborhood about $30,000 a year, $30K. What would they do for you? What would $30,000 do for you? 2 times it was like this. The wife was like, well, I'm pregnant, I'm about to have a baby in 3 months, I wouldn't have to go back to work. The other girl that we just met with today, she looks at her husband, she goes, well, that'd be great because the one thing I want to be able to stay home and be a full-time mom because they have a baby that's coming in 2 months. 2 months. She's like, I want to be able to be a stay-at-home mom. I was just worried because I knew if I stay home, we would not have my income, so he'd have to work even more. So I'd be staying home with the baby, but I'd never see him. So that would allow him to keep his current hours, allow me to stay home and be a full-time mom. That would be perfect. I said, I know it's not wealth, but $30,000 on side part-time, that changed every life I've ever met, Joe. They're like, yeah, totally. I said, but watch this. Like you read about in the book, you read about duplication, didn't you? I said, what if you duplicated that 6 times? Just as an example, what if you taught 6 people how to do that right there? I said, I don't write it down, but I said, dude, if you taught 6 people how to do that right there, basically, you did that, and you taught 6 people how to do that, you'd be looking at about an $80,000 to $120,000 plus income. People go, where do you come up with that number? By the way, the prospect's not asking that question. But people I share this with that's in business, they're going, where'd you get it to 120? $20 of product a day, that's $600 a month of Amway product is 200 PV. 20 people spending $20 a day of Amway product, 20 people doing 200 PV is 4,000 PV. You teach 6 people how to do that picture right there, that's 28,000 PV. There's no question in my mind. You're not as wide as I'd like you to be at that point, right? Just between all y'all. Don't ever share this with your prospect. They don't know what you're talking about, right? They don't know what you're talking about. But you understand what I'm saying? I mean, if you're 28,000 PV and you got 6 legs that are 4,000, I mean, you're not going to make the most you can make as a Ruby, but you'd be making 80 to 120 grand. And you say, you remember that couple I told you about, Trevor and Lexi Baker? In 10 and a half months, they were making nearly 70. And at 24 years old, they were making over 120. What would that do for you guys? Because when they were making 120, they got themselves debt-free. They paid off 3 cars. They paid off $40,000 in credit card debt. And they both retired. What would that do for you? Edify, 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 edify the crap out of people who've done something. So that they don't put the attention on you. If they ask me, well, how much money do you make? Well, say, look, man, I'm still going through the education process myself, man. But the most important thing is not what you know, it's who you know. You need to meet the guys I'm working with. By the way, that also has to roll off your tongue like, what's in a Big Mac? To all you Patty Fish sauce, it's got to roll off your tongue. You got to get that down. So when people ask that, you're like, well, I've been involved for a little while. No, you were not. You've had a gym membership for a long time too. Right? I say, Joe, does that make sense? They're like, yeah, totally. I say, well, look, that's really as far as I want to take it today. But let me share with you what the process is, because we have like we talked about, a process that we're going to go through. It's about a 3 to 4 week process, probably 5 to 7 meetings, that allows us to educate you. But to fully educate you, most importantly, it gives you an opportunity to prove to us and my coaches that you're accountable, that you can treat this process with the seriousness that it deserves, and basically build a case for yourself as to why we should make you an offer to go into business and invest $10,000 to $50,000 cumulatively over the next 2 to 5 years into helping you create financial freedom. Do you know you can say that? You can.